Hi everyone, it's Adrienne Leah. This is my long-awaited review of the Wild Unknown Tarot. I currently have the mass-produced edition. I had the self-published one, but I traded that one off because I didn't enjoy the cardstock of it. It was a bit thicker, and it made it not enjoyable to shuffle for me, but I know that a lot of people love the cardstock, so it's definitely subjective. And it was interesting because right from the beginning, when I posted an image of the Wild Unknown, I posted an image with the snakeskin backs, the scales, and I ended up getting the self-published one. So I thought that that was great because I love self-published decks, but this one really speaks to me, and I'm glad that I moved on my other one to my great friends, and I'm actually using one of the tarot bags that she made. So I feel like it's really fitting. I also feel like it's a long awaited video because the cards really wanted to talk. They really wanted me to show them on camera. So I just wanted to say that this is my indicator card. And this one pops up a lot, especially if I ask if the deck wants to be used or not. So I love foxes, and whether or not it's sleeping or it doesn't want to be, it wants to be worked with or doesn't want to be disturbed, this could come up. So I'll briefly talk through the cards and give some input. So this is the full deck. I actually put this to the side because these are the cards that I really wanted to show, but it's not leaving out a lot of them. And I'm not going to show the box or the book because I don't use it. And because it was a bit of a flashback and reminded me of the self-published one that I let go, there was a little friction there because sometimes, very rarely, I repurchase something and I bring it back into my life and I feel like I should have just kept it, the situation the way it was. So with this one, because it has a different back, it feels like a whole new experience, and I always knew that I wanted this one, and now I feel like it works even better with me. So I'll reference some of my notes, but I probably will just I'll probably do whatever I want in the video because it's not really that put together. So I feel like this deck is very primal. It's stripped back, especially with the line work. It has a language of its own, and it has a type of frequency. I dub it my white noise deck because that's what it reminds me of, and it also reminds me of EVPs and how you can communicate. There is pops of color in here, so I'll go through the cards, but it really catches your eye in certain areas, and the directions of the lines can indicate certain interpretations for the reading. So this one is the Three of Wands, and it reminds me of the Dreamcatcher that my friend gave to me, that I also, again, traded the deck with. She is part Native American, so that's really sweet, and it's shaped like this one too. So this looks like the possibilities. And it reminds me of when you're astral projecting too, and you can get different colorations and visiting the different planes. This one's an interesting one with the Six of Cups. In the Six of Cups, you can really see the rootedness in the situation. I think this is a fun Hierophant because it's a raven, And the raven has, it's intelligent, but it also has a steak knife beak. It's really large, and it can be aggressive. And even the bolt, it can strike you, but it can unlock knowledge too. This I know is one of the more different cards in the deck compared to the self-published. And it's Temperance. The heron is one of my favorite animal totems that I have. I have a couple of them. And the fox is my counterpart, and the raven and the crows visit me as an indicator that the Morgan is keeping her eye on me. So I love the heron for this one. And for me, it really denotes patience and balance, waiting for the right time. Also slow moving too, but it could be an intimidating animal as well because it is quite large. It stands in the water, even in the cold. So, and I love how it's more the master of all trades. There's a lot of symbolism that I can really connect to. It's such an earthy energy. And it does work with the different senses too. So one interesting one that I saw is the Mother of Wands. And although this is more of an indicator of wands with the coloration, it also shows the snake keeping the eggs warm as well. And so it's like a sensory of warmth. I love the court cards in here. And the Father of Wands, I really feel like you can get the energy out of this one. And with his tongue out, he really flaunts how intimidating he can be sometimes. More of individuality and a bold, proud type of personality. So I'm really generalizing, but you can get the idea of how this deck can function. It's very earthy, and it gets to the root because it has such a primal presence. So the Ace of Pentacles, I really like the cracking on here too. It reminds me of when I would do woodworking and I would work with oakum sometimes, and I didn't have the best strategy to poke a hole through, so I can put not yarn, make it a necklace, and so it cracked a bit, and that's what it reminds me of. But also aging too is present. The Lovers is one that has more color than the original one, just like I remember. And this reminds me of being in the Northeast because the geese would fly south for the winter. And in my area, there's this pond. There's a couple of larger, not large bodies of water, but larger ponds. And they have fake geese in one of them. And I always look at them because I'm in the car driving, and I see if they're going to move or not, and they're not, because they're not real. So this is the Four of Swords. I love the lamb in here and being awakened. And this looks like a clearing because you come from the Three of Swords, where it is more of a tumultuous time. The Four of Swords is really honing in and learning from the mistakes that could have been made in the past, or maybe not mistakes, but past experiences. Doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing, a bad thing, or a good thing. Maybe something intense that's noticeable. I love the Ace of Cups in here. It reflects off of the back. Death is fitting. And they're not pippish, but some of them have just enough for you to look at. I love the meticulous energy of the Four of Cups, because I feel like sometimes we can be really picky with our situation, with what we choose, with what's given to us. But it could be more of like toxic instead of beneficial if we try to force our way in. And the black and white in the card, I really love the use of the lightning. And this makes for a well-suited world card. I really like the twos in this deck. This kind of puts you in a trance too, but it can also be growth and abundance. And you could work with chakras, or you could work with your own interpretations for the colors and the positioning of the pentacles. This is also one of my favorite Ten of Swords because it makes sense. And you know, when you look at cards, and even though there's not really an open discussion or giving validity to why you like the card, but it just speaks to you in that way. This feels emotive with the Five of Cups. You can see the movement in the Five of Wands. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, and I said just about the stuff that I wanted to say in general. The colors putting focus on certain areas. So I don't have the exact cards. Well, I put some of them in the back for me to reference. So now I'll just freely go with the cards. So the Chariot, I really love the Chariot because I like the singularity with this too. Sometimes they have two animals, and I like how it's the openness of the solar imagery. And even the corners of the card too. It really frames the situation. The Three of Pentacles is a card that suggests that the mountains, and the song that comes up is that Miley Cyrus song of putting your work effort in, and there's always going to be mountains. I'm not going to sing the lyrics, but that's what it reminds me of. This is also a fun card with the Five of Swords and how worms still move even after you cut them. This one is one that I don't dislike, but I don't like that much either, because it seems more of a Christian take on this card, because I do like goats. They're one of my favorite animals, but I love a lot of animals, but goats are fun, especially when I see them in trees. The Star, really honing the focus on the star, and This could also be priorities too. And this also looks like frequency, or how I would visualize frequency in a way. I'm sure I would have something different, but there's a lot that goes on in there. So this one is the Six of Pentacles. And with this one, it looks like sustainability and also self-reliance and growing on your own, which is interesting for the Six of Pentacles, because, or maybe the earth gives you the resources. So this is the Six of Wands. I love the butterfly in here, and I really like the pops of color, because I got the Harry Potter deck a couple years ago, and it's the real one. It's the one from DeviantArt, and I felt like I wanted to add color to it, and I appreciate the stuff that I did to it. I don't think I'll be adding color to this one, just because I like the energy to it. I don't really need to add more. So the Nine of Pentacles is one that I get a lot. And this one, it can denote frugality too. And even the outside, like to live by your means. So you have the Seven of Cups. And this one is more like memories too, of the flip cup game. And some choices are better than others. Even looks snowy too. Maybe you had to wait for what you would like. Because I feel like there is an intelligence to the deck. And this one reminds me of like Stairway to Heaven. The song, not a belief system. So the Nine of Wands. Also a connection to maybe the guides or the higher self and the totems. There is protection with this one too. So this could be honing in focus on that. And steps. Air gateway. So the Tower is also one that speaks to me. And these look like pine trees. Pine trees look different down here. And there's different species of a lot of living plants, or I was going to say living things. This is the Wheel of Fortune. I really love the Wheel of Fortune in this one. And it looks like the entanglement that you may get from the Three of Swords too, because it has swords tied together with red thread or string. And then the owl and the moon and stars and this sun. So the Hanged Man also reminds me of the North too, because one time I was at my friend's and a bat got in. I haven't seen bats down here, but I have seen them quite a bit up north. More in the colder areas I've seen them. But I know bats can live in different areas and different ecosystems. There's a bit of warmth to this one too, of trying to be in comfort. Maybe stepping out of the comfort zone may be a good idea for some readings. It's also an interesting Eight of Cups. I really like the playing with the landscape in this, on how maybe all your choices aren't working for you and it's time for you to take up another task or move forward and see what else is there, because there's nothing for you right in the area that you're at. And the background in the sky looks like mist to me. This Ten of Wands is interesting because it looks like you're trying to get to a point, but you're taken back. Then the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is more of an earthy take, but you can also get the human interpretation with that one too, that you aren't nurtured, or you might be you might have too much water, over watered, not enough sun, or out of season. The Fool card, you can see that it's a nice sunny day to take a chance, and you can see that the bird is about to take his chance. I love when the decks have turtles in them. That's my dog. I think about getting the Naked Heart Tarot, but I don't feel as close to the court cards as I do with this one. And surprisingly, that this artwork isn't artwork that necessarily, it's not artwork that I'm normally want to reach for, but there's something to say about the way that the cards are portrayed that speaks to the psyche. I love the oil lamps. And you can get them at thrift stores. And they probably sell them at maybe Pier 1 Imports or places where you go camping. Maybe. I love cats. And I have two of them too. And this is my card for Libra. The Eight of Swords. I was thinking about if I wanted to pull a card out for the end of the video. I usually do. But I don't have the book to read off for you, so I can do my own reading. So the Eight of Swords, I love butterflies. And it can be difficult to grow in an area that you're surrounded by an environment or people that isn't suited for you. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing, or you hear people talking, or maybe they want you to do something, or just a place where maybe you need to change and have your own transformation. This is a fitting Father of Pentacles. I didn't mention, but you probably already noticed that the court cards are changed, and you can see the focus is within the antlers, the pentacle. And the colors just remind me of frequency too, if that's what he's going off of. And that's how he understands the world as. One of my favorite strength cards. And I do enjoy a spider in the deck, not in person. I know that Morgan has shown herself as a spider Not many times to me because she knows that I don't like them. In the Judgment, it reminds me because I was doing a video on the sun and moon yesterday, and that one was Eon, and this could be ravens or crows, and that could be a white raven or crow because they do exist. They are a bit ostracized from their society. So this could be standing out. This could be growth because eon is a long amount of time, and a lot of stuff happens in a long amount of time. So it's interesting because it reminds me, I had to push that out. It's interesting because it reminds me of the Druidcraft as well, where it does have the child and he's being introduced, and it looks like it was already written in his, before he was born, that he was going to be the next ruler of his nation. So I really think this one is interesting. And I love the butterflies in here for the 2 pentacles. And this is also how I see something on how the energy is, because I see it in a way where I see if it's one of the visualizations, if it's smooth energy or there's something like not quite right about the energy, it can be hard for it to do that. The 7 of Wands, and also being able to come above. But this could also be if, say, if you're also in class and you don't want to overdo it, or if you're just in a group. But sometimes it's really good to get noticed. This makes sense for the 9 of Swords. And this reminds me of the Rainbow Bridge too, so birth and death with the Daughter of Cups. This seems reflective off of the Sun too, or more of an everyday version of it. And I like how there's the twig. I like the escalating way of the pentacles, and also looking like it could be boxing into with the pattern, the line work. And the Sun, a bit different. So I have the extra cards, or not extra cards, but some cards that I put to the side, and I ended up doing my own video anyway. I love the court cards, as I was saying before. Especially the sword suit and the... I love the pentacles and the cups. And the wands are interesting too. I love the Son of Swords. You can really see it in the movement. I think the Mother of Pentacles is sweet. I like the Barn Owl. I love this Mother of Cups. And the Father of Cups is the most different in the Cups court cards. This one looks like a dandelion too. on going after it. Wishes. This is also like the Rainbow Bridge as well, and the progression. And I love the way that the color is, because you see the growth is colored, and you can see the sky is colored for the Emperor and the Empress, or the leaves for the Empress. And it's opposite. Looks like a different type of, like if you were to take a picture and you had a filter on it. This one's interesting because it looks like, it reminds me of like a sunrise, but also whether or not the birds are territorial, and the Father of Swords. So I'll just show you guys quickly the ones that I didn't really talk about. Not that they're bad, I just tried to narrow it down, but I didn't narrow it down that much. You can see that they're thinner, but I, again, prefer thin cardstock. I woke up my dog. And I got the Mother of Wands, which is one that I really connect to as well, because sometimes depending on the deck, it would switch the element with the wands or swords. And I'm looking at it because it feels like a personal message too, because I also got the Nine of Swords and the Daughter of Cups. So I am waiting on a response from my parents because I asked them something. I haven't heard from them, but they're fine. They're just really busy. So, card for you guys. The Eight of Cups. So I feel like some people may not be interested in what they're doing right now, or even interested in this deck or what they're going through. But if you keep trying at it, you might be surprised on the results that you're going to get. Because I got the Two of Wands and the Six of Wands. Because there is such a diverse language in this deck, there's different ways that you can communicate with the animals in this deck. It is one where you can use your own intuition, your own psyche to figure out what works for you. And again, I wasn't one that was completely drawn to the artwork, but the artwork is beautiful. It's just not one that I would normally choose, but I do use this one on a regular basis because I have decks that I use frequently, like on a regular basis. There are ones that are more seasonal and ones that I use on certain occasions. But there's a couple different categories, so I won't get too much into it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was a helpful video. I know this is a late video because this deck has been out for a long time, but I thought that since I got the deck that really speaks to me with the snake skin in the back, I wanted to put my own video out there to help you guys in case you're wondering how the deck speaks to you. So I'll see you guys in another video.